right, welcome everybody to another special episode by On the Trail and Search of Living Legends. Tonight we have a great crew as usual. We are pleasure to have the one and only Gary Spikes back with us tonight. Gary, how goes the battle?
Hot and mean. It's hot here in Oklahoma, folks. I think it's 98 degrees in the shade, 107 in the sun today.
Ooh, 107.
But great to be back.
Good.
I feel like a stranger.
I know, dude. We haven't seen you in forever. It's great. It's great to have you back, man. You're great, and Travis is gonna pop in later.
It's great to be back, man.
It'll be nice to have him back as well. Have both of you back, And next we have Mr. Nick Valenti. Nick, how's it going, sir?
Oh, it's going great. Unlike where Gary is, we only had a 90-degree weather day today, and it rained twice, so we're going to get that storm that's coming up from Florida. So it's going to cool us down into the 80s. But it was a fun time.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear it.
We had rain all day.
Well, one thing about it though, Jeremiah, I left Jeremiah in some of the best hands possible, and that's Mr. Nick Valenti.
Yes, he did.
Couldn't have been a better man to take care of it.
It was fun.
And I think Nick gets annoyed at me because I say that before every episode.
But yeah, we did 2 episodes with Carter here, and this is number 3 because we have so much juicy stuff to put out there. We had a really fun time.
Yep. Yeah, we have a blast. Carter's great. Carter is the man. All right, Carter, time to introduce you. With us for we did kind of a little trio of episodes with Carter. Carter's been on with us many times. Carter's a great guy, great investigator, great mind. Proud to call a friend now, and just happy he can join us tonight. Carter, how's it going?
Most excellent. And I'm just about 200 miles north of Gary, so we're in the mid 80s, but it's going to be blistering tomorrow. So we had a day of rain and it cooled off from hundreds to 90s. In the 80s, and it's gonna be nasty, but it's summer.
Carter, we're actually a lot closer right now because I'm in Sallisaw.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm in Liberty. Which I'm in
Sallisaw.
Where's that? Gary?
Yeah, I mean you're straight north of me. I'm in eastern Oklahoma. I'm right on the Oklahoma-Arkansas line right now.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm in the middle of Bigfoot country right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Wichita Forest, or I don't know where you're.
I'm right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I'm Fort Smith. You know where Fort Smith, Arkansas is?
Oh yeah.
I'm about 30 minutes west of it right now. I'm right in the middle of the Wichitas.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. No, it's been a fun summer so far. Since I saw Gary, I don't know, I got a book deal with On the Fray, Beyond the Fray Publishing. So they're going to, they're redoing both of my books and repackaging them and want new covers. They're going to redo the books, and I added about 20 some odd pages to the first one. And I probably add a couple of chapters at least to the second one. But they're going to repackage them and all that, and that's just all kind of new and weird for me. But I'll get used to it. So letting somebody else take your work and manipulate it and redo it and stuff is kind of you had a loss of control. But it's all for the best. I'm sure it's all going to turn out just fine.
Yeah, of course it is. Those are some amazing books, man.
Yeah, so they'll be fine. It's just they're going to. They're wanting to put some spins on them that we're going to come to agreement on everything. It'll all be no big deal, but it's I had to like do some more work. I wasn't ready for it. So
Sure.
it keeps me from mowing the yard.
You can't beat that, right?
No, I'm not complaining. Not complaining. I'm excited, for the new venture. It'd be cool.
Can't beat that. Now, we talked about Gary, you were here, but Nick, myself, Carter, and Shawn talked about maybe it's up to the group telling the audience some stories we know of having maybe different types of cryptids. I know we all know them. We all know some good ones. So, what are you thinking about that idea? Gary?
I'm sorry, I couldn't catch the last part of that. You dropped your head and I couldn't hear you in the microphone.
So
Say
what
that
do you
again.
think? Yeah, what do you think of that idea?
Of what? I didn't catch before that either.
Just telling stories that we've heard from others over the years, things that have happened to us with different types of cryptids that no one else would believe aside from other wackos like ourselves.
Sounds good to me.
I think focusing, focus especially on. I'd like to touch base on the whole picture that if y'all wanted to. I don't know how much y'all have covered that Carter had shown to him. Nick, have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Of that disappeared right in front of the girl.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
not at all.
Which one was that?
Yeah,
I think he saw that.
The one that you thought was a dog man.
He did see Carter.
Oh yeah. If you want to,
your first interview.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So the story on that, that's when I was down in Illinois, 2019. It was a BFRO expedition, and it was supposed to have been attended by, 10 or 12 people. Then the guy who was going to do the expedition bailed out for whatever reason, couldn't do it. And so they took it off the books. Well, several people contacted him and wanted to go on an expedition. They didn't care how many people were there. So they put it back up and asked if there's anybody who wanted to run the expedition in Illinois. And I said, well, I've always wanted to do, some more. I've done some exploring down there, but it sounded good to me. So I said, I'll do it. So there's only 4 of us, and plus my partner. So that made 6 of us. There was 4 attendees and 2 other people. And that's where the cover of this book came, was these 6 rocks represent myself, the 4 expedition goers, and my partner. But that's a whole nother story. So anyway, a couple of the locals were introducing us to people around the area that we were going to be going to. And this guy had been having some Bigfoot and other strange cryptid activity on his property. And his wife did not want him discussing it. I mean, she was there reluctantly anyway. They moved from Springfield, Missouri, I think. He was in the health field for like 30 years, very conservative, religious, God-fearing people, and they had no earthly idea of Sasquatch or anything else when they moved to the country. They've been in the city, big city forever. And they suddenly decided, oh, we're retiring. Let's move to the country, have us a cabin in the woods and enjoy life. Well, that sounds all good on paper, but weird stuff started happening there. So, and something, they had some Bigfoot stuff going on there, but we'll talk about the dogman thing. So there was something that had been tearing up this locust tree out in their backyard. And I've been to the property. I've seen the property, and it's very remote. I mean, it's out in the boonies near Murfreesboro, Illinois. And I mean, they are I'm surprised they even got cable out there. They're really out in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, they had something that had been tearing up this tree, just attacking it, like clawing at it, and there was claw marks and stuff in the tree, and branches torn down. And these locust trees, they got big thorns. The thorns on them are about 4 or 5 inches long. They're nasty trees. You don't want to mess with one because they are really painful to mess with and walk through and walk by. So anyway, something had been going on for a couple of years, and their daughter was living with them. She was on her way out of the house. She graduated high school, was going to go off to college, and it was happening outside of her window where this tree was. And I've got pictures. I don't have them to pull up, but I took a few pictures of it. Anyway, she heard something one night about 2 or 3 in the morning, and she looked outside and she saw the tree kind of being shaken a little bit. And she said, okay, there's something out there, and the security lights hadn't come on. So she's wondering why that didn't happen. Anyway, she saw it. She grabbed her camera and said, I'm going to go out there and get a picture. I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove that this thing is here. And even though I don't believe it, I'm going to get a picture of it. So she went out there and it was gone, but she could still hear it moving in front of the tree and near the tree area. So she could still hear it, but it was gone. So she went over there and she raised her camera to take a picture, and the camera got jerked. Well, there was nothing there. She felt it jerk, and when it jerked, she took the picture. And this creature, according to her, had been in solid form. It disappeared, and then it morphed back into the picture that I showed you. And it's sort of somewhat transparent. There's no hair on the body. It's got a long snout. And you all have seen it, and it when it rematerialized, it got its arm or some part of it caught in the strap on her camera and pulled it, and that's when she took the picture. She wasn't looking right. She was looking right at it, but it got jerked, and so but all I could get was a picture of the picture, because once she saw that, she freaked. She moved out of the house within a couple of months. She said, I'm out of here. I'm done. She threw the camera away, but they developed the pictures. And but all he had, because he didn't have the SD card or the camera any longer, because she threw it away. She said, it's evil. It's satanic. I don't want anything to do with it. And she just got rid of the camera. Hey, she's cute.
Thank you.
What's she doing with you?
I'm a good-looking guy.
Yeah. How'd that happen?
She loves spikes for some reason, and I can't figure that out.
Yeah. Good for you. Anyway, so she.
Well,
Go ahead, Gary.
I was just curious. I think y'all covered that in the first deal, but I had a question I wanted to throw at you, since Nick's here, because Nick, is a dog man witness up close. Yes. But I've always wanted to ask you, what makes you think that it? I mean, do you have? And don't take me wrong when I say this. I'm not questioning you at all. I mean, because go ahead. Y'all there?
I'm here.
Yeah, we're listening.
Oh, anyways, I'm not questioning you at all, but what I'm wondering is what makes you, is it the physical form that you've seen made you think that it was a dog man, or do you think it could be something else, or what? I guess what I'm saying is what I don't know how to say this without sounding tacky, because I'm not trying to sound tacky. I've never heard of a dog man going from a physical form to a spiritual form.
I'm not even familiar with it at all. That was my first connection to that. And that came out of left field, because I thought we were going there to discuss Sasquatch stuff that had been killing some of their geese and stuff. So I was like, that was baptism by fire for me.
It disturbed me when I
told people many times, you might go out there searching for evidence of a dog man, but something else might find you, a mountain lion, a bear, something like that, for instance.
Absolutely.
A
That's
coyote. Now, what I think Gary may have been trying to say is possibly misidentification of something else. And in reference to the possible dog man, just spiritualizing or just disappearing, a lot of the research I've done, a lot of the people I've spoken to about, they're talking about portals.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to, I want to always think outside the box, and I don't want to be closed-minded about things. I mean, it's a possibility because, like they say about Sasquatch, where the footprint ends, you'll see the footprints in a big field and there's nothing around but a field, and suddenly the footprint ends. So how are they spirited up? I shouldn't use the word spirited. Are they transported up into a alien spacecraft? Did they use a portal of some sort? I don't know. I mean, from all the research, from all the people I've interviewed, and from the interviews I've read from other people, there's just so much out there. I don't know what to make of it right now.
That's the reason I brought it up, because you're our resident dogman expert. I mean, you've taken hundreds of reports on dogmen, and I had this conversation with Carter, almost a year ago, a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
And shortly after this is when all the paranormal activity started at his house.
Right.
And then when I finally seen the picture, when I seen it, Dogman was nowhere in my mind. I pulled up and showed Jeremiah and Nick, and I think we sent it to you, Carter. A picture, a rendition of a drawing of a Sumerian,
And that's what she said. Her first
Jeremiah,
word.
What'd you say?
First, remember we showed Stacey.
Sumerian demon.
Yeah, she said that's Sumerian.
Yeah.
And she's a certified demonologist.
In saying that, me and Stacey went to the same school.
Yeah, they should.
But in saying that, a lot of the Sumerian demons are represented as a canid creature.
Yes, they are.
And that's what kind of blew my mind, and the reason I wanted to bring up here is maybe some of the and I wouldn't call it misidentification, because we don't know what we're trying to identify. I would say more of maybe of a misrepresentation from the entity itself. Maybe it's representing itself as because look at Raw. Because I know I've heard a lot about dogmen following people home, but not doing the, Carter, me and you get on that every time we talk. You don't feel any animosity or anything with the spirits that's in your house.
No.
Every time I've always heard of a dogman following you home, it's usually fairly evil, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if that is the case, they're taking their sweet time getting around to it. It could be a setup, it could be, you kill them with flowers and candy, then you spring yourself on them, but I don't know. But I've had nothing. We've had weirdness here since we talked last, Gary. Even I think Nick and Jeremiah, we've had some a couple of door knocks on our bedroom door, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, I remember saying that, right?
Yeah, it just clears a bell. It's just like,
wow.
And we thought it was our granddaughter who was staying with us, and she was in the other bedroom here outside my office. And we went in there, and we were laying down taking a nap, and she was exhausted, so she was out. And it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and my wife and I both woke up at the same time. Go, Sylvia, is that you? Come on in. Nothing. So, but my whole point in saying that is that I have not had anything that instilled fear in my wife or myself. It's all been like curious stuff, just
see, I'm the opposite of you. I get scared shitless when it comes to the paranormal stuff. My wife is a machine. Like she, and she can tell you, Gary will tell you, she'll, if it's welcome, she has no problem with it being around. If it's good, the minute something bad steps across that line, my uncle tries to step across that line. She gets rid of it. But I'm scared. It scares me shitless.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah. It doesn't bother me. I mean, and I've been in the presence of satanic devil worshipers before. They were staying in my mother's house. It was a friend of my brother's. That's a long story. About 35, 40 years ago, maybe 50 years ago. But anyway, but I've never gotten anything of an evil nature. But anyway, back to the story. It's almost over anyway. So she says it materialized right in front of her, and that's when she took the picture, and it was about halfway morphed into solid form. It was still in that, kind of hazy, kind of transparent form. And but she saw it, and she turned around and hauled ass back in the house. And they went and developed the picture. She moved out shortly thereafter. And there have been stories over there, because that is an area that is got a lot of sadness to it. It's a trail of tears.
Are you kidding me? Somebody has to lower their microphone. Gary, is that you? A lot of breathing.
Yeah, sorry, I had my dog in my face.
Oh, the dog was breathing.
You there?
Speaking of dog, man, hey.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice segue there, Gary.
I'm wondering, Carter, if that could have possibly been a shapeshifter.
It could be. It could be something that, but
forms, in between forms, it could possibly take that sort of image. So, I mean, if it looked like a dog man at first and then it changed forms, it morphed out into something else. So, I mean, that really speaks of high strangeness. Really does.
Yeah, and you've seen the picture, so it's I can't do any work on it as far as checking for tampering or any of that stuff, because it's a picture of a picture, and that's all he has. But that's their story, and they're sticking to it. And the wife did not want she didn't even want us out there. She was glaring at us the whole time, like, when are you leaving? She just didn't want to be discussing it or spreading the word, but it was all over town. But there's the Trail of Tears over there. 94 people died within about 5 miles of that place. Wow. Back in the late 1800s, when they did the march from the Carolinas to Mississippi River. Yeah. So there was a lot of sadness and misery. And apparently during a flash flood, a lot of Native Americans who were buried there in unmarked graves, not even mounds, just buried because they died right on the spot. They just buried them and kept moving. A lot of the bodies were exposed. And so they tried to find a Native American who was a member of the tribe or the main tribe that would come and bless the place, and nobody could find anybody, or nobody would come and do it. So they took the remains, which were bones, and wrapped them in red blankets and sort of reinterred them, but not officially, because I think they just loosely covered them with dirt, because some of the graves had been exposed when there was, flash floods going through there. So I don't know if that has anything to do with the story, but nobody goes there at night except a dummy like me, because I said, well, if you don't go there at night, that's where I want to go, and that's where I went, and it paid off handsomely. It was a really awesome experience. But so I don't know, that's the lore. Nobody goes there. It's got really bad vibes, and it's just nobody goes there at night, because it's just the way it is. Nobody goes there. So if that's attractive to the dog man or a shapeshifter or whatever it was, but that picture is, bless their hearts, they're not sophisticated enough to fake that. They're just regular folks, they don't want anything. They don't want their name out there. I've never put their name out there or property, or not, they don't want anything. And that's how that's part of how I determine if somebody's yanking my chain, is if I don't want my name, no property, no geo coordinates, nothing. I want just, I'm just telling you my story. You can tell the story, but
Sure.
nothing. So if you're going to hoax me, you're not getting anything out of it, because, Bob Smith just hoaxed me. And I'm telling everybody, this guy wrote a book and I look, well, that's my picture right there. And I got him. Well, nobody's doing that because there's nothing fake about it in their eyes.
Right.
That's a real event. And that's how it is with my books. These are real events that are happening to people. So, that's the story on that.
Carter.
Huh? Yeah, Gary?
I always wanted to ask you when after that, did the activity continue also with their property or did it transfer to your property?
No, it continues on their property. They've had the wife. She has a bunch of geese, and they follow her. She has probably about a dozen, 15, maybe 20 geese that just follow her. As soon as she goes out, they follow her because she feeds them. So, and half a dozen of them have been found dead, necks broken, necks torn off. Long. I mean, so there's something going on there. And they're just
eating it all, or they eating it, or just
they're not eating them. They're just killing them.
There we go again. We talked about this last week.
That's not a predator, so to speak, in a feeding type thing. It's murder for the sake of mayhem,
Or as a warning of some sort. You don't know on that. Could be a warning.
Yeah. Yeah. Hadn't thought about that.
Off, tell them to get lost.
Yeah.
I mean, I was telling these guys how John told us, Gary, how 26 of his chickens he found scattered throughout the field, just bled out. Remember, he was saying,
bled out. See, that behavior to me sounds like what I've heard in the Native American cultures of dogman and skinwalkers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's funny you mentioned that because there's the interesting thing. The day his daughters thought they saw the Sasquatch and they came in screaming, "Daddy, Daddy!" And they were little, and they said, there's a werewolf out in the field. So the only thing to me and to a kid, it's different. I know that, but to me, a Sasquatch isn't going to look much like a werewolf, but a dog man is gonna, whether it's to a child or an adult. So it makes me wonder. And he and I talked about that. Makes me wonder as well.
Well, you know what? Also, just going back to what he was saying before about when that flooding happened and the bodies came up. Dogman in Native American culture, Indian culture, that is, are the guardians of their burial grounds. So that wouldn't be so far-fetched as to, see a dogman in that area. Or even if it was a skinwalker shapeshifter type, so I wouldn't be surprised at all to see, a dogman in the area. And it might be a warning that we have a burial ground here and, stay away.
Yeah, I mean, we've had
very well could be
a lot of battles of the War of 1812 right down the road, and right in Fort Covington, and there's a lot of sightings down there.
Yeah, from what little I've been able to garner from Native Americans who I've spoken to, I've spoken to the Mohawk, Cree, Blackfoot, Apache, and like I said, none of them want to speak to me about it because I'm not part of Native American culture. However, some of the stuff they did mention, is that they do, guard their burial grounds, and that seems to be a common theme that I found anyway.
Well, one kind of random tie-in is then that was 2019 when I went back to revisit, and I had the gifting of those rocks, which told me there was something going on. If the day that happened, my wife saw an orb in our bedroom 325 miles away. So the night of the day that I found those, the night before, when I found those at 8 o'clock in the morning, I found those rocks on that thing that night before.
There's a correlation.
She had seen an orb in our bedroom. I don't know. It just, to me, it was like a simultaneous, it was like, I don't know. It was tied in somehow. That's all I can say. I mean, it was just too random. And ever since I got back, and we're pushing almost a year since I've been back from October 2020. So what would it be like July now? So August, September, October, 3 months away. It'll be a year since I was there. It's just, I don't believe in coincidences. No. Chalk it up to anything else. Well, that's a coincidence. That's odd. Well, no, it's not odd. It's something. It's tied somehow. And so I can't say what or how, but it was just far more than any kind of coincidence I can come up with. It was just, that is what it is,
It's like, Valente's always told us, the correlation between, there's people are seeing these orbs and lights before sightings and after. Almost 90% of the time?
92%, either before, either after, or before and after, both, the combo. Yeah. And like in my encounter, it was after. But there was that orb in the sky, and it was something I couldn't explain.
Mine was, mine in North Carolina was beforehand. I mean, I guess it all. I wonder. It makes you wonder. What's it mean?
Well, yeah. People with the Sasquatch and any other cryptid, people are going, God, what is going on? There's something weird. Well, if that's what comes out of your mouth, you're right. There is something going on. There is something odd about it. And wouldn't it just be weird if, and this past couple, 2 or 3 weeks, I've been seeing and reading a lot about, are we in a parallel universe? Are we in a matrix that is, created? We've created our own reality by our imaginations and our wants and desires. And so we see and experience what we want or what we expect. Some people have crappy lives, some people have great lives, and you are creating your own reality. So is all this stuff, some kind of matrix, and we're experiencing all this because it's just now we're becoming aware and we're seeing and hearing things we used to not see at all or disavow or go, no, that can't be that. No, it must have been it must have been a bumblebee or something. It must have been a firefly or something.
Firefly, yeah.
You tell yourself it's something else because we're all taught, and I firmly believe we're all taught what to believe by the teachers that are handed a textbook. Here, you teach these kids. Here's a book, teach them. And that was written generations ago, and teachers and teachers and teachers and teachers and teachers, 20 generations, that's a lot of years. That's 400 years of misinformation. So we're taught what to believe and what not to believe. And that can't exist. There's no skinwalker. There's no Sasquatch. There's no UFOs. Well, guess what? Yeah, there is. So, so we're taught. So you're immediately going to dismiss anything you see out of the normal because you've been taught it doesn't exist. It can't be. It's got to be something else. And I think it's going to slowly come to pass that we're all going to be going, I told you. And the rest of the people are going, oh my God, how can it be? It's the two camps, and the flesh and blood camps are probably going to be as adamant as they are. They're going to be kind of disappointed and shocked when some of this other stuff that's going on is brought to light, one way or the other. But it's just too bizarre. Too many regular, normal people. All four of us are just regular, normal people. We believe, we have open minds. We believe the possibility of quite a number of other things.
Sure.
We have to. So, if you have an open mind, it's not that big of a shock to you. You go, well, I didn't think I'd see that, but that makes sense. And somebody that doesn't believe in that goes, oh my God, it's Satan. Oh God, I'll just kill myself now. I can't, my life is over. So it's one of the two things, everybody it have extreme beliefs. And if you just get in the middle of the highway a little bit, you don't get run over and you might learn something, just, keep your mind open. So.
Right. The old man used to say to me, "You ain't listening. God forbid you might learn something."
Yeah.
God forbid you might learn something or two.
But you know, the UFO connection with Sasquatch and people seeing an orb right before or after, or a craft leaving the area. Ron Moorhead, they've seen several large, massive craft just slowly gliding through the trees before, during, and after a Sasquatch event. But what's that all about? A coincidence? There's a shortcut to somewhere else, to Jupiter? I mean, why is a craft there?
Right.
Craft.
Well, I'll tell you guys, like I've told you before, I had done a 6-month study on Sasquatch and Dogman encounters and sightings with, like I said, 92% of the people seeing the orb, the light in the sky. And at this point, after 6 months, I kind of slowed it up, but I'm still taking new reports and I'm still interviewing people. So it ended at 367. Now it's well over 430 reports of people saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, like Carter just said, is it a coincidence? I don't know. I don't think so. Something has to be there. Something, and that's a connection. So,
well, one of the things I keep saying is, and it was on my end, it's in the thousands and thousands of people are mentioning the Sasquatch and the paranormal quantum things that they appear to be able to do. Are there 100,000 crazy people all over the world? 200,000 if you go all over the world, Europe, and South America, everywhere, Australia. Are there that many crazy people running around that need meds that aren't on them, or is it really happening? I mean, are there 300,000-400,000 people that have had things that aren't even talking, and over the centuries have had events? So, and then, the Native Americans and the indigenous peoples are the ones that tell it like it is. They make cave drawings, they, rock art, glyphs, they do all of that. That's their way of transmitting. They didn't know hoaxing. That's
10,000 years ago with the cave drawings. They didn't know. Hey, let's hoax this and make this drawing.
Yeah. When they find it 500 years from now, my bones are dust. Boy, I got them, didn't I? It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
But guys, seriously, in Australia, they got the Yowie. In the Himalayas, you got the Yeti. Canada, you have the Sasquatch. California, well, all over the United States, Bigfoot. I mean, just to name a few places. I read about a study that was done between 1995 and 2015 on the West Coast, California, Colorado, Washington State. 3,000 people reported. Now, these are just people that reported it. Between that 20-year time span, 3,000 people reported seeing Sasquatch. At that same time span, 1995 to 2015, in Canada, on the West Coast, 650 people reported seeing a Sasquatch. Now, really, 3,650 people between the two countries, they're out there bullshitting for no reason at all.
Right.
Why would you even come out with it? Now, you know how people are. A lot of people, they ridicule. A lot of people don't want to come out with it because they don't want to, number one, be ridiculed. And also, besides being made fun of, it might inhibit them from getting a job promotion.
Yeah.
It might possibly get them fired. I don't know. I don't think that would stand up in court, but they could be given a hard time. Their friends and neighbors look at them strange. I mean, I don't give a damn what my friends and neighbors look at me or whatever. They can go pack sand and bark at the moon for all I care, in which case they're probably werewolves. But, I don't really care. But a lot of people, and I do mean the majority of people, care what people think about them or what they say about them. So, a lot of them haven't reported this stuff, but just getting back to what I said, 3,650 people in that 20-year time span, just in that little area, West Coast, Canada, and United States, Are they lying? Are they making a story up to get their 10 minutes of fame? I don't think so.
Right. They're all lying. It's just,
And it's hypothesized that we only get no more than 20% of all actual sightings. It's probably more like 10% because people have these awesome things.
Because I get people, at first when I started as the NACP regional director, I was getting maybe 2 or 3 calls a week. Now it's over 47 to 50 calls a week. I'm talking telephone calls, including messenger messages and everything. And people are saying, I don't want this out, and please don't print it. But, I want help. I want help getting around this in my mind. I'm going to tell you because we know you're not going to put it out there. And I'm a person that doesn't kiss and tell, and I won't put it out there. I keep their confidence. But I'm going to tell you guys, if I add up all the people each week by week by week, it's phenomenally a lot of people that don't want to report anything. Yeah. But they do want help with coming to grips with what they saw. And Jeremiah, remember that the one case I handed over to you, Thailand, New York, the lady who said she had the dog man, but it turned out to be Sasquatch. I mean, it's still going on up there.
In Thailand, New York. Oh yeah, yes.
Remember the 15-footer, the 15-footer.
Yes.
She had pictures and we measured that tree. And like I said, that sucker was at least 15 feet.
Yeah, she sent me the pictures. Yeah, I gotta get back with her. The health problems I mingle around.
Please.
Yeah, I gotta get back with her. But that's not that far. Highland, that's not that far.
Yeah, we did go out there, but I think she probably needs a little bit more help than what we gave her.
Yeah.
All the people that I've talked to, Bigfoot wise, that wanted to have someone to talk to who wasn't going to laugh and put them down.
Yeah.
I put every one of them in the book. They're not identified in both books. I don't identify them. They all have fake names, fake locations, because none of that matters. It's just the event. And they're all happy with it. And it's cathartic for them to have somebody believe them and put it out there for everybody else. And my whole process in doing that is I'm going to get other people coming through that want to talk, because some of the other big database groups, Bigfoot groups, won't even talk to you about it. They'll erase it from your report and put everything in their butt, the truth.
Yeah. They take credit for
it.
They're
happy to have a soft place to land and someone to talk to who believes them and can ask the right questions and say, well, and I always try to shoot holes in it. I say, well, have you ever thought it might have been this, that, or the other? And when you can't shoot it down, you got something, and like Nick was saying, you've got thousands of people that are all kind of telling you the same off the wall stuff. I'm not talking about a Bigfoot crossing the road. I'm talking about esoteric quantum type stuff. They're vanishing, disappearing, mind speed, teleportation, whatever. How do people? You couldn't even say that with a straight face if it didn't happen to you.
Talk to my wife about it.
Huh?
Talk to my wife about it.
Oh yeah, I know. It's a real thing.
It is.
I'll tell you guys. I was on a podcast last night out of England. There was two hosts, and the one host who was located in Texas, he had a dog man encounter from, was it a dog man or Sasquatch? I forgot which one he had, but he had a cryptid encounter from it's Sasquatch. Sasquatch encounter from approximately 20 feet away. And this guy was so hard on me with wanting evidence. And he saw this with his own eyes already. Carter, I wish I would have had you on with me, because I'm trying to explain to the gentleman, you had the experience. I also asked him, I said, you ever hear of a thing called quantum physics? And then you ever hear of a thing called the string theory? Well, they proved the string theory, but you can't see the strings. Strings are smaller than electrons and atoms.
Yeah.
Right. But people believe about it. They believe in it. He goes, oh, we only have people's word for it. Well, we only have people's word for the string theory and the atom bomb, and we saw what the atom bomb can do, in real life. I mean, he's going, well, where's the bodies? How come we don't have bodies?
No.
I said, seriously, have any of you guys, and Gary, maybe you biggest person to ask the question, have you ever seen a bear skeleton in the woods? I haven't. I've been out in the woods a lot. I've never seen a bear skeleton. Yet I know bears.
No.
Nope.
I just picked these up. Yeah, can you guys see them? No, my
we
camera's
can't
off.
see it. We can only see the picture of your wife and you. There you go. You're back.
I'll have to send to you guys on Messenger. But the pit where I found these 4 bones. I was telling Carter when I was, working with Jevning years back. I found a bone in Maine, and it had been chewed on by humanoid teeth. And the anthropologist looked at it, and he said, "You got to send me this. You've got something here." And needless to say, it disappeared. Well, I've found 4 more.
That's something I mentioned last night in that show, because number one, the forest claims back its own. Okay.
Yeah.
So all the different animals, the buzzards, deer will even eat bone for the calcium and minerals in it. A deer will do that. Skunk will eat the bones and stuff. Insects. But what I was trying to get across to them is possibly Bigfoot. They go and claim their own and they bury their own. That's another possibility besides the forest eating up its own again.
It is, yeah.
Like now, it's funny you mentioned that, your evidence disappeared. We had dogman evidence of all sorts that we sent into places that check DNA. One fellow foolishly sent it in, and he actually got, from the post office, he insured it and everything. He got his number on there that he could trace it with. And, it was signed for. Months later, he goes and calls up the Smithsonian. He speaks to the man he spoke with originally, who he was sending it to. And the guy goes, "Who are you?" And the guy goes, also, "I don't know what you're talking about. I got no package." He says, "Wait a minute. Don't you have so-and-so that works there? They signed for it. I have a clear signature." No such person works here. I mean, you're going to be in dire straits and fear of losing evidence. How are you ever going to get it checked out by a DNA place? How are you ever going to get checked out by the Smithsonian? I mean, Jody Cook, the founder of the NADP, has what we believe is a dogman bone, the lower jawbone. And I'm going to tell you, we do not want to send it any place. People want it. Different places want it. But what do you do once you send it out? Even if you brought it there physically, what are you going to do? If they say, "Oh, we lost it. Oh, I sent it to another place to get checked out." It's a funny state of affairs, guys.
It is, especially this one. I think it's a part of a moose lower, near the foot, the ankle up, maybe part of that right underneath the knee. Nick, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, then a shorter one, claw marks going down the side of it that run about a 1/2 inch deep, and they are 8 inches long. Okay. And on the side it looks like a person had eaten a chicken wing.
Oh, wow.
Gary, I didn't send you these yet. Wait till you see this. It's unreal. And at the top where it was chewing on it, there's 2 canines. You can tell there's 2 canines. So
one thing I kind of wanted to get back to, I know we're kind of moved on. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Derek. Go ahead.
I wanted to kind of get back to, we must have a delay. I wanted to get back to, since I've been working with David Scott up there at Spaced-Out Radios, they're all UFO. UFO.
Yeah.
I've been talking to a lot of UFO people that's a lot more knowledgeable than the average person.
Sure.
And I am seeing the same thing that Nick is, of reports of Sasquatch and Dogman, along with UFO or lights in the skies that I never saw before. I wonder, I've heard, Jeremiah, you've known me long enough now to know that I never was this way. Natural. I wonder if there might be a connection in between these, how would we say, cryptid beings and the UFO and multidimensional, because they're saying that UFOs can, go in between dimensions and back and forth. Sure. And it's like Nick was saying, if like an escalation of reports with all of them tagged together. It's not, I guarantee you, every report I'm getting one normal. If you wanted to say that a cryptid report is normal, I just seen him in the woods, to every 3 with anomalous lights, whether it be orbs, lights in the sky, or whatever, to flying craft. It really has brought a lot to attention to me that maybe there's something going to happen in the future, near future, or maybe people are taking notice and reporting it more, because like I said, Nick takes a lot of reports, and so do I, and so do you, Jeremiah, and it seems to be almost like it's escalating.
It definitely.
Well, I am up. When I said I did that 6-month report, like I said, I didn't stop doing it, and to this day I'm up well over 430 reports. Out of the 430 reports, at least half of them I have either face-to-face, on the telephone, contact with the person who had the encounter. So over half of those reports, I spoke to the people, and I threw in that question now. Before, these people were not asked this question. Did you see any anomalous lights in the sky or in the area when you had your encounter? They're bringing it out. You've got to ask these questions. Just like when I speak to people who have dogman encounters, people never asked this question before. I asked them this question because in my encounter, I noticed it right away. I asked them when they have a dogman encounter, also, did you happen to notice a smell, a foul odor of any sort, a nice odor? What did you notice anything with your nose? Generally, they come back and they do tell me similar to what I had experienced. It was a mixture of a blood and urine type smell, and not from a dead deer or a dead bear or something like that.
Just different, yeah.
Definitely a different type of an odor, like on a dog's fur type of a thing that really smells. But I've been asking this question of all these people that I've been able to actually communicate with, and they all said that, Gary. I'm telling you, I've been putting it out there to the other investigators. Ask that question. Did they see anything in the sky or in the area above the cryptid, when they had the encounter? This lady, just a real quick one, up in New York State, not around where you are, but up New York State near Buffalo.
Okay.
The daughter was driving down a main road and highway at nighttime, about 1:30 in the morning, and they see a creature running across the road on 2 feet, all right, bipedal. And the lady swears it was a wolf running on 2 feet. All right. And what I asked her in there, I said, did you notice anything before or after or during, up in the sky, anything? And she goes, come to think of it, yes. When it ran across from her left to right and ran into a field, she noticed off into a distance a light in the sky. So, the investigators have to start thinking outside the box themselves now and start asking real, more questions. And
absolutely.
Pertinent questions. You know what? I don't have all the questions that you need to ask, but it's got to be developed. We got to develop more questions during this because, guys, there's some sort of connection.
Absolutely.
I mean, I said this months ago. There is a connection between aliens and Squatch and Dogman and Mothman too. Who knows?
Who knows?
Other ones out there.
Yep.
You have to have it in your mind to ask the question, because my experience, and it's 99% Sasquatch, is they will not volunteer that information unless you ask, because they've already been ridiculed by their friends, family, spouses, employers, whatever. They're not about to say it again and go through that misery. That's so you have to ask it. And
correct. Yes.
Once you do, the floodgates come flowing open.
I was thinking exactly that term. My God, as soon as you say that, oh yeah, and I remember this too, and I remember, it's like, whoa. I mean, because of the different variants of Dogman in particular, I asked the people, did you by any chance get to look at the knees? And some of them will say, yeah, the knees were like a German Shepherd, or the knees were like a human. I mean, that gives me an idea of what variant it was.
Sure.
And then they'll give you a snout type of thing. And generally, they're describing I don't want to put it up here because we've had this many times, but the type 3 variant 1 and the canine variant 1, that's the most common. And generally, they're telling me about those two.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to, as an interviewer, ask the question. Besides the who, what, when, where, why, and that stuff, you really have to delve into things. And like Carter said, floodgates just open up if you hit them with the right question. If you don't hit them with the right question, well, it's going to be left over for another time, I guess.
And they're dying to tell you. They just aren't going to be the instigator. They're not going to instigate it, but if you even look at them halfway interested, they're all over it. It's
you
awesome.
guys were the first I showed that video to, but they took in North Carolina of that thing carrying that animal. I'd like to know more about that. I know I sent it to you guys. Gary, you were the first one I ever showed that.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
I'm at a loss on that one.
I am too.
I'm at a loss on that one. I've never seen nothing like that.
I haven't either.
Well, send that to me again. I don't think if you got it, I haven't.
Yeah, I got it right here. There's a video and
resend it to me too, Jeremiah.
What's that?
Resend it to me too, because I've
just did.
It's like there's an awakening.
And we thought it was a Sasquatch, okay? Because we had an encounter the night before that, we had them all. We had 6 of them come out of the swamp. We thought it was a Sasquatch walking in the water. We were on top of the old trestle, and I'm filming, because afterwards I was going to check it out. I didn't see it at the time. I noticed it when I analyzed the video. To me, it looks like a hog is carrying.
It's like there's an awakening worldwide, United States wide. The UFO thing was not that big a deal. If you look at the media and the reaction to people, it's like they're used to hearing about it. They're used to thinking about it. It's like not that big a deal.
Right.
We kind of believe we're not the only ones in the universe. So when you tell us stuff, it's like, okay, that's a possibility. Instead of like, oh, baloney, no way. People are open to that because they got more things on their mind than, a Bigfoot or a UFO. They're trying to, pay bills and make a living and stay healthy and don't get COVID and all. They've got a real life to lead. Everybody has a real life to live. And that stuff is like kind of background stuff. Oh, Sasquatch, yeah, that's probably real. I mean, it's not as big a jolt as everybody thought, as the media made it out to be.
Right.
It's like grain of salt. Okay, Dogman, Mothman. I'm with I do a lot of stuff with Arcane Radio. And the Mothman. I get reports 2 or 3 of them a week
Do you?
On my feed from them. They're Dogman, Mothman, especially Chicago, Illinois. Oh my gosh,
Chicago, Illinois, yeah, that's a big one up there these days. I mean, there's been an uptake of them in the recent month or so,
yeah.
Carter. What is, that's what I'd like to know. What is up there and what is going on that they're going from the West Virginia area all the way up there to Chicago now.
And by the airport, too.
We're getting them up here, too.
O'Hare Airport is a hot spot. The airports seem to be a hot spot, Yeah. And maybe because they're flying winged creatures and they kind of fade into the background with all the airplanes. I mean, that might be a way you can't see the forest for the trees. Maybe that's a way of disguising your activity because you're right there. If there's things flying in the air, you just tend not to.
Well, let me throw.
Go ahead.
Let me throw something else at you, too. There was a story coming out of southwest Missouri around Joplin Table Rock area of a winged creature 7 to 8 feet tall. There's stories coming out of South Texas of a winged creature 7 to 8 feet tall. Do you remember? Look at the old legends of the vampire. You know, all the damn videos and I mean the movies you see of the vampire turning and Dracula turning into a bat and all that.
Yeah.
Look at angels, winged angels. What we're dealing once again, it comes on to a sociological, Carter. Me and you had a real good discussion about that of the sociological and the religious background of our direct interpretation of the what we're seeing and what we're experiencing. There is an uptake of that, but it's not new. I mean, but one thing I did want to say is look at all the upheaval. They said that the Mothman in was it North Carolina where the bridge collapsed.
Right.
West Virginia.
Was kind of a
Pleasant, West Virginia.
forecoming for that. Yeah.
Was that when a
now
bunch
look
of
at
people
Chicago.
lost their
Everybody
lives,
knows
like
what's
30
going
or
on.
40
Chicago
cars
murder
fell in
rates
the river,
are.
that event?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now you look in Chicago. I mean, look at all the shootings and stuff that's happening in Chicago and stuff. Look in Michigan and Detroit area. The crime rates are going up. We seem to have a pattern building up of any time that there is a cataclysmic death toll, you have a upright winged creature. What are vampires known to be for? Death, taking of life, sucking of blood, and all this. So once again, where do we draw the line in between our sociological and our legends teachings and the actual what it is? Well, we don't know what it is. We need to do research on that.
Right.
Well, the Mothman
there's a long history of that.
The Mothman is so-called the harbinger of doom. Wherever he is, something bad happens. Like Chernobyl, the Mothman was seen there. Before the World Trade Center disaster, he was seen there. There's actually a picture of a Mothman somebody took right near the World Trade Center Tower 2. The Point Pleasant Bridge in West Virginia. In Japan, before they had their nuclear power plant go fluey. I mean, an American businessman coming out of a business meeting actually saw what he dubbed a Mothman in Japan, and then the nuclear power plant went, and then they went and got hit by a tsunami. I mean, that place really got wrecked. But up there in the northern United States, Chicago, Michigan, Minnesota area, I don't know whether it's a population shift or what's going on, but yeah, there's some bad stuff happening, guys.
We're starting to get sightings of the Mothman type creatures around here that we never had before.
You got to start reporting that and saying which areas, cities and everything, so we can map that down.
There was just a girl called Stacy and she said, I thought y'all were nuts. I'm not gonna lie to you. She said, but I was down on the reservation. She was down in a place called we'll say St. Regis, Quebec.
You have to wonder if, of course, I'm going to say this is out there, but what we're talking about is out there. So you have to wonder what Nick's talking about, all the violence and the mayhem and the death and destruction and negativity. Is the collective psyche creating these sightings or events as a way to deal with the state of the world, or is it really happening? And I say, tens of thousands of people, millions, don't make that stuff up collectively. It's
right.
It's happening.
Yeah.
The mass hysteria, like they used to do with the UFOs, it's mass hysteria.
Yeah.
You tell one person and they see something, and 10 other people go, "Oh, I saw it too. I saw it." They had no idea what they were talking about, but they, mass hysteria. I see that happening with something that's not nearly as spectacular. It's more of a mass hysteria, is something, fear invoked. So it is just odd. It just seems like we're about to learn a whole lot more about the world we're in than we ever imagined. Creatures on the planet, life on other planets and other universes, other galaxies, what have you, other dimensions. What does science admit to? 10 or 11, and they speculate as many as 21 different dimensions. Quantum physics and math will dictate that is entirely possible. So we're just little people here involved in our little world. We're all happy and cozy, and we're the only people in the world, in the whole universe. There's nobody else around. And all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe there is somebody. Maybe there is somebody. Right. So we've all been indoctrinated into at least having a belief that it's possible, because, well, that would explain this, that, and the other. So it feels to me like there's just an awakening of things around us. We thought we knew the world. We only knew the world as what we were taught.
Yep.
And when you see something that doesn't fit, you just blow it off and keep going with what you were taught. And so now things are just heating up, and they can only hide so many things for so long, because they're going to have to tell us, because they're going to start affecting us on a day-to-day basis, every man, woman, and child.
I mean, this girl, she was freaked out of her mind. She said, "I thought you guys were crazy all these years." And she said, "I saw what looked like a man bat." That's the way she described it. That was her, just 7.5 feet tall, stood there and looked at her for a second, and then took off.
Who sees that stuff? I mean, who imagines it, and there's only a couple, paranoid schizophrenics or schizophrenics can hallucinate things that are not there. And it's a medical thing. It's a real thing. But other than that, the four of us sitting around here, we can't just go look out the window and see something and imagine it. I mean, we can put it in our head and go, "Oh, I just saw a bat." But if you can't just look out the window and see something that's not there, unless you got something wrong with you. So if you're seeing something, what's your choice? I did not see it. I will just tell myself and everybody else I did not see it, or I saw it and you can't tell me I didn't. So that's your only two choices. The flesh and blood people don't like the stuff we're talking about, because that just locks you into a very narrow corner. You take this computer screen, you're like way down here in the bottom right-hand side. If you're just flesh and blood, you got to have an open mind about all this stuff.
You gotta
some of it may go by the wayside, but it's just like, you got to put everything on the plate and consider it. Otherwise you're just a fool, And so there is stuff going on. The world's a strange place, and there is things going on.
Well, gentlemen, I've got to duck out of here. I've got to get to bed early tonight. But I do have one thing. Carter, we need to have you write a book about the Mothman. You're so good at the other cryptids, man. We got to get you to write a book about the Mothman.
Well, I tell you, Lon Strickler has got one. I think he did a UFO book. Does. It's a pretty good. I think he's probably going to do one. I would like to write something that I've had experience with. All I have to do is experience it one time.
I could set you up an interview with this girl if you'd like.
Huh?
I could set you up.
I'd love that. I'd love it. I'd love to go and visit her wherever she is and walk around the property and hang out. I mean, because I've had two people that have mentioned Dog Man. And one of them was just in the last year. I think we talked about that. The Amarugia Ridge Runner. Amarugia is a conservation area. It's about probably 75, 100 miles south of me. And there's actually a band called the Amarugia Ridge Runners. But it is and he called in a Sasquatch report, and I got his report published. And after we were done talking, as it always happens, he goes, "Well, I want to talk about something else here. I don't know if you're interested, but I'm pretty sure I saw a Dog Man." I think I've told you this, and he described it as Anubis out of that movie with Brendan Fraser, The Mummy.
The Egyptian demigod.
Yeah, he said he described it. See, Gary, are you gone? Oh, there he is. He's back.
But I've got to get out of here, guys.
So the problem with Anubis, though, is it's a jackal. It's not.
Yeah, right.
See you, Gary.
See you, Gary.
Bye, Gary.
Talk to y'all later.
Good talk to you, man. But he saw it, and he described the backwards legs. He described the backward leg.
He did.
Legs, yeah.
I don't know which version of that is the backward, like the dog's leg. It's backwards.
Right.
Like this and that.
So let me ask you a question, and this beats me up. It just drives me crazy. Anthropologically speaking, how can that? How can that be possible?
Well, we only know what they tell us. The Smithsonian is.
It's true. It's true.
Has taken a lot of the giant skeletons. They have commandeered them, and they have disappeared. The giant skeletons out of Lovelock Cave in Nevada and other places, out of the mounds in Ohio. A lot of those big, giant 11, 12-foot tall, humanoids have all disappeared. So, I say they're complicit in covering this stuff up.
True.
They don't want us to know stuff.
Definitely not.
So, but a backward dog leg, that's how they're portrayed. Biblical creatures. I mean, they're all described as just totally off the wall, designs and creatures and heights and sizes and powers. And so, how do you say no?
Yeah.
How do you say
it's like years ago when I was working with certain people, I was one of the guys that believed you get a shine a light in their eyes to get a eye shine back. No, not in my experience anyway.
Yeah. Well, there's eye glow and eye shine.
Yeah, exactly.
What's that?
Total difference. Here's something I want to throw out there, guys. In accordance with the lights in the sky and the different encounters that people have had with cryptids.
Yes.
I'm thinking about this, and it's like, there is no oxygen really on Mars. There's no atmosphere like we have.
Right.
The closest thing we have really to ours is Venus, and that's not really compatible. Pluto, Jupiter, forget about it. I mean, now wherever if there are certain aliens, and these aliens are the Dogman and Sasquatch, Mothman, Rougarou, and all the such, if they're connected with aliens, and the aliens are putting them here on Earth, I just had a thought. Dogman, Sasquatch, if they're alien, they could actually survive on our Earth. The oxygen isn't destroying them. The high oxygen content. So they could actually survive here. Where are they coming from that they could actually survive here? I'm just wondering. Maybe they're put down here to see how they do. And if they don't, well, alien, it's possible. I'm just throwing this out there as a question.
Yeah, of course.
Something to think about out there.
Absolutely.
Along with asking people, certain questions. I'm just saying, wow, this is something else to think about.
It definitely.
They're from another dimension, another planet or whatever. And I mean, wow, they could actually survive here. That's something.
Yeah, maybe it's only a temporary thing. Maybe they can come here for a couple, 2 or 3 days, and then they have to take a break. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's why they.
Maybe that's it.
Go in and out. Go up from one dimension to another through here.
Carter brought up. Excellent thought.
Yeah, excellent.
You know, it's like a dolphin. A dolphin can stay underwater for what, 8-9 minutes?
Something
But
like
it has
that.
to surface for air. It can't stay there indefinitely.
Right.
So that's another strong possibility. Maybe they're here for a few days and then they got to zip back up, recharge. Who knows? There's just so many questions without so many answers, though, unfortunately. But that's why we do the research. That's why we do field investigation.
Yeah.
There's people listening to this right now that are going, these guys are nuts. And then there's other people going, that's just what we saw last month or last year at Aunt Mary's. You know what I mean? I mean,
they're too scared to come forward.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Because of the ridicule.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, are we crazy people? I don't know about you, Jeremiah.
We're a little bit out there.
Yeah.
Hey, but we're good people. You got, I mean, people. I was known as the crazy. I still am. As the crazy cryptid guy around the area, and hey, I've kind of taken it on as a compliment. Hey, sure. You see, the thing with a lot of people is, they need to see it with their own eyes before they'll believe. I told like that guy I was telling you guys about that used to bust my balls. He inherited that house from his grandma. I'm wondering why he had 9-foot hairy beasts running around. Well, his father ends up telling him his grandmother was feeding a family of Sasquatch for 30 years. So they got cut off their treats cold turkey. And this is years after.
I have a question for Carter. And this is rolling back to what Gary was saying about the Mothman. You should write a book. Carter, have you ever been to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, where the original Mothman was sighted?
No, it's on my bucket list.
I've been there, and you want to go see the TNT plant, the dynamite plant that they had during the war when they were, making dynamite and all that. I just want to mention, guys, that the NADP, at least my region 3, we're going to be going up to the Land Between the Lakes, Tennessee. We're going to reopen that case, the slaughter over there. And I'm going to be doing like a 3 or 4 state tour with my security team. And we have 4 people from the cryptozoology stage out there that are going to be coming. They're pretty famous people. We're gonna form a diamond around them. We're going to be going there during the daytime and nighttime. I can't give the date and where we're going to be and time and all that stuff, because if you're not invited, we really can't have you there, because we can only protect so many people.
Exactly.
But what I wanted to tell Carter is we're gonna come around after Tennessee. We're gonna come down and around, and we're gonna go to Point Pleasant and visit that area again. Take a lot of pictures.
Cool.
I've been there before, but I never took any pictures with the statue. I want to do that and go over to Point Pleasant Bridge, the one that collapsed, and that whole area. But I'll tell you, I've been there, and it's a wonderful time. If you go during the time of year, Carter, where they have like a carnival, about the Mothman, it's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. You got to put that on the bucket list and go.
Well, it is on my bucket list. It's just, I got so much stuff here, and I'm afraid to, I've got 4 habituation sites. I won't say manage, but I visit and I talk to them, monthly, and just kind of keep up. They've all reached out, and said, you need to come back. I got some other stuff to tell you. I got some stuff to show you. I'm waiting for somebody, so I'm like, and so when you get a phone call like that, you go, oh God, I gotta go, but I want to get back to Illinois, but I got so many things going on here. God, it's just, you hate to leave it,
I know.
I've got another habituation site down in Arkansas. And they've been having events since 2008, and they saw one that a Sasquatch intentionally exposed itself. It stood out from behind a tree 40 yards away. My lady was laying by her pool, just sunning herself and swimming by herself one day. She heard a rustle. She looked over, and they've had stuff going on. I mean, a lot of stuff, everything but a point-to-point sighting.
Right.
And this creature stood there for about 5 seconds and just let her soak it all in.
Now,
Awesome.
couple
And
couple questions here, and people may find them offensive, but I have to ask them. You hear about people joke about Sasquatch because they're so big, they must be well endowed.
Mhm.
Was this thing well endowed? I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm just
No, she didn't notice that. She
okay.
was looking at the face.
Okay.
And she heard a voice, don't look at it. So I asked her, I said, now is that, because I've heard that from many people.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. Do not look at me. Look away. But
yeah, the mind speak, right?
Yeah, but she said, don't look at it. So I asked her, I said, is that your inner voice or was that the creature
Yeah.
talking in a second person type thing? Don't look at it. Maybe it was another one telling her not to look. And she couldn't really answer, because you have your voice, Nick or Jeremiah, you talk to yourself and go, God, that was stupid. So your voice, your inner voice.
Oh, sure.
She couldn't answer if that was her voice or another voice. But
what we could probably figure out from that event is that the one that exposed himself to her probably did not say that or mind speak it to her. It must have been some other one, or she could have said it out loud. So there's 3 possibilities. I think 2 are probably more probable.
She heard it in her head. She didn't say it out loud. She heard it in her head.
That
That's what she told me.
Another one saying, "Hey, don't look," warning her off.
Most people wouldn't even think to ask that question. Was that your voice or another voice?
Right.
She goes, I don't know. So but that's just a little something you would kind of gloss over and not even think about. But, I know from past experience to ask that because I've had probably half a dozen people have told me, I was told not to look. Don't look at me. Don't look me in the eye. Don't look at my face. Look away. It was like, it was a warning, but not in a stern threatening thing. It was just, don't look at me.
Well, Carter, I've read many a report and I've spoken to many people, and you've probably heard this too. The people that had an encounter with a Sasquatch and said, do not raise that gun. Do not shoot at me. You'll die. That's one.
I'm one of them.
Number 2, do not follow me. Yep. Number 3, leave the area. I mean, I've heard this from so many people, not just 1 or 2. I'm talking dozens and dozens, but they've encountered it. They've told me about, and they've said they heard this in their mind. Leave the area now. Or I will not hurt you. Just leave the area. I mean, there's so much that has been said to these people, and like you said, I asked the same question. I said, now, were you saying that, or did you hear this in your head? Or were you just thinking it? No, it sounded like a loudspeaker in my head. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So you got to ask those questions.
There's something to all that. There is something to it, and you can say you're full of crap. It's baloney, but that mind speak, teleportation, hypnosis, whatever it is, quantum, if it's, infrasound, whatever.
It's something.
There's something going on.
It's something. I sent Nick a film I didn't even remember filming.
Yeah.
I mean,
remember that film.
These things, and it was a group of these creatures, and they must have done something to my mind. He reminded me about it. Jeremiah, do you realize you sent me a film where you had kind of a conversation with these creatures?
He didn't know it. He didn't know he had it.
I didn't know it. I didn't know.
They did an infrasound on him and knocked him out one time, and they did a mind speak with him to make him lose time. And I mean, he sent me this film, and he didn't know he didn't know he said anything, and it was a pretty long video.
Yeah, it is.
That's such
You know,
cool stuff, and
it's just not, it's very, very bizarre. You go back to the Minds Week, and when I had my first up close face to face in that swamp with that female, I had that rifle over my shoulder, and I think that's when the trust thing started to build between myself and this group. Because I research other groups that are, you can almost cut the tension in the air of the knife. They're very irritable and whatever. But anyway, she looked at the barrel of that rifle over my shoulder, and she looked back at me, and what I was getting from her, she said, what I heard was, "Don't do it. Go your own way, I'll go mine." But the look I got out of her eyes were, just like out of that movie Tombstone. Go ahead, skin that smoke wagon and see what happens. And even if I would have yanked it off my shoulder, she was 30 feet away, I would not have had time.
like that.
There's no way. And after that, she went her way, and I went mine. And
You know what? Too bad you didn't have the peace of mind to say, "I'm not going to do anything. I'm not here hunting you. I'm not trying to give you, do you any harm. What would be the purpose of it?"
Right.
Put it across to them. What would be the purpose? I mean, if I was out there and I saw a dog, and unless he's going to attack me, well, I'm keeping all my, as Gary would say, my Batman paraphernalia to myself.
Sure. Yeah.
If it comes at me, then I have to defend myself. But otherwise, what would be the purpose to serve?
Right.
Anybody.
Well, that's man's behavior as a rule, is to shoot, kill, maim something you don't understand and ask questions later.
Yeah, why?
Well, that's
I understand.
Say that's the way we're raised, but that's just what a lot of people do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a deer hunter. But I eat everything I harvest. I don't hunt anything else. I'm a deer hunter. That's it. But I'm not wanting to go out there and kill for pleasure. I'm not going to go out and shoot a Sasquatch for pleasure. Just deer, turkey. I grew up as a hunter. That's that. But then I see the group you're talking about, Nick, where they just want to go out and shoot anything for the fun of it.
Yeah. I've never been a hunter. I hunted when I was like 11 or 12. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I had a hummingbird die in my hand. I shot one in mid-flight, just being stupid, and shot a BB gun, and I hit it, and it
pretty damn good job.
That cured me of hunting. So I've never been a recreational hunter. I'm not, just not me. It's not me.
Right.
I don't need a trophy on my wall. I got
and
prints on my wall.
And that's another thing. These guys go out there and trophy hunt just to stick a big mule deer head on the wall. I eat what you kill. I mean, and that's all there is to it. I ingest everything I harvest, except for a few parts I leave for. The only time I told you guys I've ever done anything like that is when I leave part of the deer for them. I think it's that respect.
Yeah.
My grandmother always told me growing up, after you harvest your deer, leave something for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I do. And they seem content with it,
Well, they know your intentions when you walk into the forest. They know your intentions.
They do. They
if
do.
You're there, they know what you're going to do.
They know. They know.
I'm going to leave my cameras, and I'm going to leave everything in the car. I'm not going to unpack it. Here's my cases right here. Everything's in there. I don't have anything strapped to the trees, as you already know. So, and I had a couple of them interact with me, just kind of laughing and snickering and throwing stuff at me, because I said, here's all my gear. I'm not going to put anything up. I want to interact. So is anybody out there? And sure enough, I started getting, little things thrown at me, and some snickering and chattering, and that reminds me, I had some people that were in my first book. They called me last week, and they are building a new house on their property where they've had activity.
Oh.
And since they have dug a hole and put in a foundation, they live in a little 2-bed, 1-bath house. Now they're building a 3-bed, 2.5-bath, nice ranch, on some acreage. They heard a lot of chattering and a lot of activity because they are changing the terrain that the squatches live on and in.
Yep.
And so they weren't like displeased. They were just, they could tell from the activity that they were excited and running around their houses in the framing stage now. So they could hear them running around out there and chattering. It's just like Chinaman chatter, just like you heard, on Ron Moorhead stuff. It's exactly what it is. And you could tell they're all excited or maybe a little bit disappointed that, a bigger house with more emissions and all that stuff is going to be put up on the land where this little bitty house is. But, they're very aware of their surroundings and their property, and they consider it theirs, the Sasquatch, I mean. So it's just a fascinating thing. Gosh dang it, it's just so fascinating.
It is. The whole cryptid field to me is just so fascinating,
and funny because there's so many of them out there too. It's amazing.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But if you look at zoology itself, I mean, there's so many, animals, insects that we know about already. So it shouldn't really surprise us, all the cryptids. But boy, there are tons and tons of cryptids. And some people, when I mention to them different types of cryptids, they're like, "What's that? I never heard of that." It's like, wow.
And you don't know if they're somehow related, if they're offshoots of, Mothman and Dogman, it's kind of the same without wings. I mean, I don't know what the physiology is, the differences are, but it's just, they were here probably before we were.
Absolutely.
There was stuff going on. I mean, us humans came along at the last minute to screw the world up, I guess. That's why we're here. That seems to be all we're doing. It's just jacking things up. And now they're not happy with us anymore because we're tearing the world up. We're tearing the earth
tearing it apart. Yeah. I think a good way to put that, like take a rain pen deck for example. It's kind of what you're saying, Carter. Would a rain pen deck be real? Are you saying in relation to another cryptid of its kind, or like related to an orangutan or something like that?
I'm saying other cryptids, related to other cryptids, maybe they're just offshoots, and maybe all these beings are coming back to reclaim the earth because we've screwed it up. Maybe all this stuff that's coming out now, the UFOs and the Mothman and Sasquatch and, Dogman and several other creatures, Nessie, Champ, all maybe they're all coming back to claim what was theirs in the first place before we came along. I mean, who knows? Because there seems to be a lot of activity. It's everywhere. You hear about it and read about it, and people aren't even that surprised. Some, but it's taken like, oh, okay, that's possible. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's that big a deal, like it should be.
Right.
Like people are freaking. No one seems to be freaking about any of this. They're like taking it in stride, like, okay, well, there's other life on other planets now. There's UFOs, so we know that. So if there's other life here on this planet that we're just not aware of, maybe they're living in caves or under the ocean or another dimension, they're coming back to reclaim what was theirs in the first place. I mean, who knows?
Who knows?
Nope, but it's a good question to ask and explain some things.
It really is. Nick, have you given any more thought to that thing I described to you last week? To the gentleman shot?
You talking to Nick?
Yes.
Oh, it didn't even come across. I lost the audio here, guys. Go ahead. Repeat that.
The story I told you, I'll tell you in a second, Carter. About the gentleman I know, well, my family knows up here that shot that creature.
Yeah.
I
tell Carter that one.
Yeah. So there's this gentleman that I can't say his name on the radio. My father knows him very well. Tough guy, true Adirondack woodsman, tougher than nails, big guy. He's in his 70s now, but he grew up in the mountains and he'd hunt for a week at a time. He'd stay right out there. Okay. And what model was it? It was either 7400, the Remington 7400 or 76. It was the semi-automatic. I think 74. But I think he had one chamber either for a 30-06 or a 27. Anyway, 5 in the mag, you put one in the hole. Anyway, he got to the spot and he's sitting there that night. He had his fire going, and he could tell the whole way up there he was being stalked. And he was a Vietnam vet, military guy. He knew he was being stalked by something and hunted. Didn't see anything up until that point. Now he's sitting there, and all of a sudden he hears a noise, and he turns, and he sees his thing come out from behind the tree, and he couldn't believe what he saw. And it popped, and I'll get to that in a second. Popped back behind the tree, and out again, and then it came for him. Boom! Started running towards him, and he picked up that rifle, and he had to give it all 6 shots to put it down. And this guy is the most straight-laced guy that you ever meet, and anyway, he wanted to bring it back, okay, to, I don't know whether to show people or turn it over to DC or whatever, I don't know. But it took him another 3 days to get the thing out of the woods because it was so damn big. So anyway, he had an old C10, with the Chevy C10. I heard this story from a gentleman I know, and who lived next door to the guy, and my dad. Well, this gentleman was telling me that this thing's front end of the body was hanging over the windshield because there wasn't enough room in the back cab for the legs and the hips and all that. Now, this is gonna blow your mind. The description, okay. Blue, you've seen a blue pit bull.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's your blue pit bull, and he mentioned kind of whitish streaks, blackish streaks through it as well. Picture a horse's head, resemble a horse, okay. Human eyes on the side of the head, okay. Long canines coming out of the mouth, sticking out of the top, human-like teeth on the bottom, okay. Now, it had a freaking mane going from here all the way down its spinal cord into a tail, like a horse. And the hands were exactly like ours, except much bigger, obviously. But with long claws. So finally they wanted to weigh it. There's an old man by the name of Charlie Ashley who owned a butcher shop, and he had one of those little butcher scales, that you put the beef on, and it wraps around and tells you what it weighs. Anyway, they brought it down to Charlie Ashley's, and I think this one was, from what I'm told, it was set for 1,000 pounds. Well, when they finally got it up there and hooked on there, it wrapped all the way back around 1,000. So who knows how heavy this freaking thing was?
Mm-hmm.
And the gentleman, my father heard from this gentleman that it was well 8 feet, all of 8 feet tall. Very long arms. Okay. Very, 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 very long arms, long claws. Okay. On the hands. Legs were short and in proportion compared to the arms. Now the pectoral, from what my father tells me, from what this gentleman told him, the pectoral area was just gargantuan, massive, from front to back, side to side, just unbelievably massive, unbelievably. Now they used a machine to pick it back out of the truck, and they set it on the ground, and not one animal would go near it. You know how dogs will sniff around a dead carcass or whatever. They didn't want anything to do with it. Now I was telling Nick that this gentleman, Ed, I know, he was there. He said he took a stick, okay, and he was all the kids were poking at the side of this thing, and it was sickly. It was almost like it was sickly because the stick was going right through the hide.
Yeah.
And pus was coming out. Okay. Now, here's the part that's really going to throw you for a loop. Okay. The thing, right?
The story you're telling us is going to throw us for a loop, but here's the punchline, right?
Almost. It had friggin' hooves.
See, that I couldn't understand.
Me neither.
And if that
neither.
That is a Sasquatch. I in all the research I've ever read, spoken to people, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, me neither.
I didn't either.
Me neither.
I have a Native American who I'm friends with, and I had a couple of his reports that BFRO turned down in Oklahoma. They have drawings of a creature that sounds very much like that, but it's almost white all over, very little hair. It's bald, it's hairless. It's got a smaller round head, but it's got massive teeth, and it looks like it's just designed for ripping things. It's a Native American legend. It's got a specific name. I can't remember because I just saw it a couple of days ago. I said, well, I've never seen or heard of that, but it's interesting.
Dugway, is it?
Huh? No.
No.
I didn't mention this to you last week. My father was talking about the story to my grandma one night, and she knew what it was. She had the Native American name, the Mohawk name for it. It's the tail that gets me. The tail and the hoofs.
The hoofs. I can't place what that could be.
Me neither. And here's what gets me is he called the DEC, and they said they were on their way down, but not before he could cut. Not before he could cut. Supposedly, from what he told my father, he cut a finger off, a claw, and he still got it to this day. And he's got, back then they had Polaroids. He took a bunch of Polaroids, gave a bunch of DEC, but he kept one, and supposedly he still has it.
Jeremiah, you were saying you were thinking about going to talk to the gentleman.
I am. My father's throwing a fit about it, and I'm begging him to come with me. Like, Dad, you know him. We've known him for years. Why don't you take me down there? I'm not going to harass the guy. I just want to ask a couple questions. I want to ask a couple questions. Maybe he'd be kind enough to give me a piece of that if he does have the nail, and a little piece of it maybe, or something. I just want to hear. I want to hear the story from him.
There's some DNA there. Where was this? Is this in the Adirondacks?
Yes, sir.
Where's that experimental lab where they keep finding these weird creatures?
Okay, you're talking about Plum Island, Long Island.
Yeah, I want to say Montauk Monster.
Yeah, that's would be down near Montauk. Yeah, that's 8 hours from me.
It's a government lab or something.
Yes.
Yes. And they supposedly are experimenting with whatever because
yes.
odd thing. Yeah.
Now I've heard rumors from people that they have one in the Adirondacks as well.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that because I don't know if it's true. But the other thing is, I don't know. It just blows my mind. The muscular, from what my father told me, this guy told him the muscular definition was just unbelievable. And the human eyes on the side, they weren't on the front, they were on the side, and snout like a horse, and ears pointing upward.
That would get my attention. I might even
Yeah.
take a second breath if I saw something like that.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
You said he took Polaroids too, right? Of it, right?
He took a shit ton of them. His wife made him turn some over to DC.
Yeah, if he
Does
would
he have
show
some
you-
of them though? Does he still have some of them?
He kept one or two, yeah, from what he told my dad.
Well, scan them, send them out.
I'm trying to get down there. You know, for the last 2 years, I've been begging my father to take me down there because my dad knows him well. Dad would, I think, be able to help me get it out of him. You know,
how old is the guy?
Tell your dad you're not going to pressure the guy. You just want to see if
exactly right. Yeah.
How old is he?
He's dad's age, so he would be
80?
80. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so sometimes when people get to that stage of their life, they start talking about stuff because they want to get it off their chest.
Yes. Yeah.
If you talk to him the right way and your dad paves the way, or you find some common subject you can talk about and drift over, you know?
Yeah. Dad said that before that he was, he had long blonde hair, long blonde beard, real good looking guy, just, Vietnam vet, tougher than nails.
Yeah.
After this incident, he started to become an old man, because it just put the fear of God right into him, having that charge you like that. And he's lucky he was able to, hold stable, and any military guy, knows how to handle a weapon. But
yeah, his training took over.
Yeah,
Vietnam
like it was a semi-automatic.
Wow. See, there's all kinds of stories like that, and
there is.
Talk about my uncle or my great grandpa. I was told buried a Sasquatch on the back 40 over there back in the 50s. And you go, well, where? So there's stories out there like that.
Yeah. Dad just told me one, as a matter of fact, the last couple weeks ago. I might have told you guys, but in the 30s, he knows the grandson of a gentleman that supposedly shot a hairy, naked wild man in a place called Scary, New York, where I may or may not do a little bit of research here and there. Mm-hmm. But it's a very active area. It's where that gentleman inherited that house from, I was telling you about. From his grandmother.
Yeah, just got to follow up a couple of those stories. I keep hoping that one of my habituation people will call one day and say, well, I think we got a body. I'm just waiting,
Yes. Well, Dad's going to find out more info on this shooting. Supposedly it happened in 29, 30, 31. Shot multiple times in the chest. And before that, there had been other activities going on. Farmers were hearing weird screams in their woods, and animals were being taken, and so on and so forth. And finally, they shot it. Now, the kicker to the other story I was telling you about, when the DEC showed up, they had a truck prepared to take it. Now, the DEC office is in Raybrook, New York, which is about 45 minutes. Okay, it's not that far. So he calls. About 55 minutes to an hour later, they show up and they're all ready to load this thing up. And when he asked them, what is this thing? One of them was dressed like he was the biologist or whatever, and the other two were in uniform. The guy said to him, "Put it this way, sir. I can't tell you what this is, but it's something that's not supposed to exist right now." So,
what do you say to that?
what do you say to that?
Yeah. And they know.
Yeah, of course.
I've had a person here in Missouri, Department of Conservation, as they were leaving the area to be relocated somewhere else, because the guy's wife had a Sasquatch walk up on her, literally almost stepped on her because she was in the grass laying down, drawing frogs and insects for the Department of Department of Conservation here. That was her gig. She was a wildlife artist, and so she would draw the things. And so she was laying down and drawing these are very rare frogs that they had here in Missouri. I don't know.
Right.
And so she had the crap scared out of her, and she said, "We're leaving." And so they got a transfer. They both got transferred together, and we spent the night in their cabin. And so they have terminology for them. They call them pods. And, not in clans, but mostly they're defined by pods. So we have a pod here, we have 3 pods here.
Pod of killer whale.
Yeah. They have terminology.
Sure.
So it's like, why can't I be a fly on the wall in that room?
Right.
That's what they told us. That I can't say anything because I'm still working there. My wife is still working there. We got to transfer together, and we're out of here. And they valued their employment enough and their skills to keep them and move them. And they told them why, and they just left. But they say, they're here. I mean, they're here.
Yeah.
It's just like matter of fact. Just like my habituation people, they see them every week, every month.
Yeah.
And they don't even think about it. It's like, oh yeah. I saw one last week. I forgot. Did I tell you that? That kind of crap. You go.
Here's the thing though. When I'm witnessing these things, during the week, I'm catching in these photos after I'm catching other things. Like not dogmen, not anything, not any norm, anything you would consider the norm crypt.
A normal cryptid that doesn't exist?
Yeah.
What is that?
No. Right. So it just
very weird keyword.
Right. Very weird creatures. I'll send you guys a couple examples. Very, very weird.
Yeah, send me all that stuff because everything.
I can't believe that
on your thread is gone. There's nothing there. I mean,
I lost everything he sent me. If something, I'll explain it to you after we're off the air. Try to get it back. Now, my father, I was telling you, he's gonna come on. He was gonna come on tonight. He's gonna try next OTT we have. He was on Paulides' case, missing the one Paulides talks about, the Douglas leg case in the Adirondacks, and Speculator.
The missing 411.
Yeah. My dad was a state trooper at the time, and he was a detective on he was in the BCI. He was on that case, and you can tell it still bothers him to this day.
Yeah.
It was just the most bizarre thing because the kid was there and 3 feet behind his uncle, and his uncle turns around, he's gone. And usually when, correct me if I'm wrong, you were a law enforcement officer, Nick. Now, if that was to happen, I mean, before they took off and got lost, you could find them, right? Unless they were taken, grabbed, and right. You know what I mean? Nick?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Yeah. See, I mean, you could find him, right? I mean, most likely.
Yeah, that would just blow your mind. Just literally vanish.
That would be something, guys. Man. Yeah, but you got to get up to that guy's house. I mean, if he's 80 years old or so, and see if he could at least show you a picture or two. And boy,
Yeah.
that would be to find the century if he give you some of that DNA. But you'd have a hell of a time finding a DNA lab that you can trust.
Well, I'll tell you this after we're done recording. But yeah, we had a place we can send it. But anyhow, that's all I'll say about that. But yeah, it just my mother. I mean, that's why I almost called you tonight. She was freaking out so bad about those tracks, and I can't figure out what the hell they are. Have you ever seen anything like it, Carter? Be two circles. Okay, two circles. Okay, next to each other, then a bigger circle in the back.
No, I mean
Like
that's
a triangle.
Really
No.
odd.
Unless it was wearing some type of boot.
Right, but they're just
Necessary
we're
for
seeing
coming and going, you know, in our world or in our reality.
true. But she's been seeing these all over the place, all over their property, and she it makes her very very nervous. She had years ago she had a Sasquatch run across her front porch, and while she was sleeping, that kind of that did the trick in front of her, and putting them on her shit list.
No more brownies for you, buddy.
The whole house just shook, she said, and she got up real quick, and just as she's peeking out the window, it's jumping the other side where it ran to. But she that kind of put a bad taste in her mouth. I said, Mom, especially if it's from this group here. I mean, well, back then they weren't really used to you yet, but because it's 2 miles from my place, you can bet they travel the whole area,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, she's not too fond. But this track, so yeah, I wanted to ask you guys if you ever seen anything like that.
No, not perfectly spherical. I've never seen anything like that.
Yep.
But I could say that if I did see it, I might mistake it for somebody sitting down a beer can or something. I mean, if it's in dirt, I might mistake it for something non-cryptid, like that looks like 3 legs of a stool or something. I mean.
Now the ones today, when she called me over and had me look at them, she thought I was going to have all the answers. I said, no. I said, I'll have to take this to my mentors. I said, I'll ask Nick and Carter tonight if they've seen anything like it. And she's going to be mighty disappointed that that you guys never
one of a kind she's found there.
Yeah, it's just she's one of a kind. Yeah.
Well, tell her how special and unique it is, and just
exactly. Try to make a good thing. Yeah. Try to make a light of it.
You're on to something. Well, are we done?
No, time is it? 10:33. So we've been going
about a couple hours.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to touch on, or?
Not too much. I gotta leave for work myself pretty soon.
Okay.
On the midnight shift.
I gotta go crawl into bed here pretty soon.
Yeah,
it's tough. Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it. Yeah. But hang on a second, guys. After we kill the recording. Anyway, hope everyone enjoyed tonight's show. I did. Carter, these past 3 episodes with you have been awesome.
This has been fantastic.
Awesome.
Like-minded people, and this stuff is going on, folks. There's stuff going on out there. Don't believe your people that say that can't happen, because there is stuff going on. We might not be able to explain all of it, but smoke and fire, all that kind of stuff. There's something very odd going on.
Yes, sir. Yes, there is.
We're
Yes,
gonna
sir.
get to the bottom of it someday.
Someday we will. Yeah. And Carter will be back if he's willing to come back at some point. We are more than willing to have him on. These shows have been awesome with you.
Yeah, well, that's
Uh,
fascinating stuff. You know.
I think we had a good time. We got some good stuff out there. I got nothing but compliments on YouTube. You know, great job, guys. Stuff like that. So we did it right.
Yeah.
So I thank you for that, Carter. Thank you for that, Nick. Um,
Hey, did you get the paint, Nick?
No, not yet. I'm gonna have to search that one out. You said it was Lowe's?
Yeah, it's Lowe's.
That is Lowe's. I haven't had
Valspar. Valspar paint.
Valspar, right?
is that the color or is it the
Yeah,
brand?
that's the color of my book too. That's the weird
Oh,
thing. It's
okay.
almost the same. But I sent Nick the paint chip. That's almost
Okay.
the color, give or take.
Yeah.
But I sent him the paint chip, so he knows where to get it, and it's
Gotcha. Yeah.
Valspar product. I think
I just got to get time off from work and get some between trying to get some sleep, work, and research here. And
yeah,
we've got that LBL thing. I'm telling you guys, getting a trip together and getting everybody else coordinated, it's absolute hell.
It is hell. It is.
It is hell.
It is complete hell.
I
I
want
wanted
to do
See-
this right and
Yep.
do all the good stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stacy and I want to do something this summer. Have her people up, have my people, have you, it'd be great to get you guys up here. Or maybe spend, a a few days out in the, out way out back. Hit some other research spots. She's gonna do her side of the paranormal side of it, take her people to her places, and that'd be great. We're aiming for the end of August, so I'll have more specifics on a date as it gets closer, but I think that'd be a blast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I put 4 expeditions together, so I know how hard it is to get even 10 people.
Exactly.
Much less.
Shit, even if I get, I mean, can you imagine the three of us sitting around the fire, with just telling campfire stories? That in itself would be a blast.
And guys, on top of that, I've got people that are inviting themselves to come along, and it's like, no, you don't understand. It's just the invited people that are coming.
Exactly.
Invitation only. That's the way it is.
That's right.
I can't transport you people, and I can't protect you out there either. I mean,
Right.
I have 3 individuals that are going to be coming that are going to be in the center of our diamond formation, and I got to protect those people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're going to be doing nighttime and daytime. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, I just hope these other people don't show up because they're going to be asked to leave. No, they're going to be told to leave. More not so much asked, but told.
You're right.
You
Right.
came here wasting your time. We're
Had that happen once on an expedition in Iowa. Somebody overheard us talking at the restaurant at breakfast, and about 6 or 7 people showed up in 2 cars in the evening.
Wow.
They're getting ready to go out on night ops.
Uh,
Hey, you the Bigfoot guys? Hey, can we come? I was on Jesus.
Yeah. Lord.
It was awkward. We
I
didn't
bet I can just imagine.
out because we were afraid they were going to come find us anyway. We ran them off, but politely. But I think they were still in the area, So yeah, that screws everything up. You got the people you want in the place you want, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a couple of different places. Well, I don't know if you want to call them places, but Coast to Coast AM wants to do a live broadcast from there while we're there, and
Very cool.
I'm just hoping that they would just want to do it during the daytime because the nighttime is going to be very difficult. We're going to be using thermal, FLIRs, and besides the fact that I'm going to be bringing, like 10,000 lumen lights just in case we need it out there.
Yeah.
Because the animals and cryptids own the night. We don't own the night so much.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
They're the ones that can see at nighttime. We can't, but you know what? A lot of the good investigation, boots on the ground stuff happens at night. So we're going to be doing stuff at night.
So we do. We're researchers. That's what we do.
Go where the action is.
That's right. That's right. But gentlemen, go ahead, Nick. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
just about.
I get offers all the time.
I agree. Yeah.
Take them out. Pay me money to take them out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I won't do it. I won't do it. I've done it once, and it was a disaster. Never again.
Never again.
No.
Never again. Never again. I told you guys about the guy that almost shot me in the head with a 12-gauge buckshot because he had drank too much. I told him, I just said, do not bring a long gun to the place I'm bringing you to. Do not do it. And he got hammered, pulled it out. I heard a bang and felt the wind next to me. I said, did you just let one loose? He said, yeah. I wanted to see if it was loaded. And I said, you idiot. And not 30 seconds after I said that, from across the spring comes a 6-foot log, probably 20 inches in diameter. Like this was no joke. This is a log. Comes flying across the spring, lands about 2 feet in front of his feet. So I don't know if that was their way of saying, hey, you almost killed our guy here, or you need to slow down on the Jim Beam a little bit.
A little of both, I say.
A little of both.
Jeremiah, the other problem with it is that if you tell them not to bring any firearms and they secrete one and then they get nervous and they pull it out anyway. I mean, it was a problem for you now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not a good thing. They could shoot somebody. I mean, it's just not the right thing. So anybody that's coming with me, they have experience, they have the background.
Oh yeah. I carry. I always carry. Just behind the house. They know me. They know I'm not a threat to them. But I tell other people, if you're going to carry behind the house, behind the cabin on the land, bring a side piece. I don't carry. I don't carry for this group of Sasquatch here. I carry for anything else that might be out there. Any normal creatures, tweakers, human, exactly. But our other spots we always carry. We pack heavy because one of the spots they're very, very, very nasty.
Well, I'm gonna hit the bed, man.
Yeah, me too, guys.
All right, gentlemen. Well, it was a great night.
Awesome, guys. Awesome show. Awesome show.
Stuff as usual.
Absolutely.
We'll be in touch. Carter, take care now.
All right.
No, Carter will be back. That's for sure. He'll be back. Guys, hang out for a quick second. And everybody, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate the support we get from you. Without our viewers and supporters, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you. And everyone be good to each other. And, have a good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night, all.
That's it.